Okay, so you've probably heard at this point about Woody Harrelson's SNL monologue, where towards the end of it, he calls out Big Pharma and the whole lockdown. But there's actually some interesting things about him that most people don't know, I think. Some strange things. And I want to tell you about them. If you didn't see the monologue, here's the relevant portion of it. The setup is it's something like last time he hosted SNL when he was in New York, he was in Central Park leaning up against a tree, getting high, and he never imagined the next 3 years would be like a movie, which he goes on.
So the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes, and people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea, being forced to do drugs? I do that voluntarily all day long. Anyway, it's about that time.
That's it. It's short and sweet. And honestly, I'm a huge Woody Harrelson fan. I thought his monologue was bad overall. He might have been high, but I did like that he did that. I like that he did that, and unfortunately, the show overall was pretty bad as well. But he did take that jab there. I don't know if he went off script or not. I have no idea. But he has talked like this before. This isn't the first time that he has spoke like that. Here he is talking on, I think this is Bill Maher's podcast. He's got no shoes on there, as you can see, about the lockdown and some of this other stuff.
There's the CDC promoting that we have to do all of these things, right? I don't like profiteering in war, you know? Right. Think of the billions of dollars that have gone to Big Pharma. But I was getting back to my original point. The last people I would trust with my health is Big Pharma and Big Government, because neither one of those strike me as caring entities.
Spoken as the perfect redneck hippie.
He's so stoned right here. It's pretty funny.
Really? If that message doesn't...
I mean, they're all about profit.
Exactly.
They're all about profit.
And both sides know that.
And it's obscene the profit they've made.
I think they've done a lot of studies about vitamin D and how important it was when the people who had low levels, they were much more vulnerable to COVID. Why not tell people that? Can't you make money selling vitamin D? Is it that what's the worst that could happen?
But that's just it, man. There was only one thing, you know, ivermectin got made into a, horse tranquilizer, or horse, whatever it is.
Which it is, but also used by humans.
It's used by millions and millions of humans. Hydroxychloroquine got made ridiculous. And there was only one thing that could work, and that's the vaccine, right? And so ultimately, because of that, billions of dollars was made.
Okay, so yeah, he's right there. I think Bill Maher's a little bit of a plant. I think he says some of the right things to try and win back credibility that he can then transfer onto CNN, where he is now. But also, Harrelson actually apparently is or at least he identifies as, an anarchist. He wrote an article in a British newspaper, The Guardian is what it is, condemning George Bush's preparation for a U.S. invasion into Iraq. He called it racist and imperialistic war. He also stated at one time that he was against the U.S.'s previous wars in Iraq and President Bill Clinton's sanctions against Iraq. And in 2013, he condemned Barack Obama for failing to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan, comparing him negatively to Richard Nixon. So he has this type of sentiment in his background, calls himself an anarchist, which I'm glad to hear that because I've always liked Woody Harrelson. White Men Can't Jump is one of my favorite movies of all time. And a couple of other interesting facts about him. Before becoming an actor, he was a theology student. He even got a Presbyterian scholarship and attended Hanover College in Indiana on that scholarship, which is the same college that another well-known public figure attended, Mike Pence. They knew each other. Harrelson told Jimmy Kimmel a few years ago that in college he actually liked Mike Pence and he thought that he was a really good guy that was committed to his faith, but they kind of went different ways. And his dad is a guy named Charles Void Harrelson, who was an American hitman and an organized crime figure who was convicted of assassinating federal judge John H. Wood Jr., which was the first federal judge to be assassinated in the 20th century. His dad was arrested when calls were made to the police because his dad was firing a gun at an imaginary FBI agent while he was high on drugs. It's an interesting way to get caught. But Harrelson didn't really know his dad growing up. His dad wasn't around a lot. But he apparently, once he got older, would go visit him in prison and talk to him a lot, which is interesting because I watched SNL sketches after learning about this. And one of the sketches was Woody Harrelson in prison, and a girl was coming to visit him, and they were having a conversation. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that was his idea, because he was thinking about him going to visit his dad while his dad was still alive. Check this out about his dad. So when his dad was arrested, he was in a standoff, and it was a 6-hour standoff in which he was apparently high on cocaine. And during the standoff, he threatened to kill himself, stating that he had killed both Judge Wood as well as President John F. Kennedy Jr. And in a TV interview after his arrest, his dad said that at the time I said I had killed the judge, I said I had killed Kennedy, which might give you an idea to the state of mind that I was in at the time. He said it was an effort in the standoff to elongate his life, so he didn't necessarily walk it back, but he kind of threw some shade on his own comments. Then there was this guy named Joseph Chargra, who is the drug trafficker who hired Woody Harrelson's dad to kill the judge. This guy actually testified against Harrelson at trial, and he said that Harrelson claimed to have shot Kennedy to him as well, and that he drew many maps as to where he was hiding during the assassination. And this guy, Chagra, is his name, said that he didn't believe Harrelson's claim at the time, and the AP reported that the FBI, they discounted any involvement he might have had in Kennedy's assassination. But there's a little bit more to this here. His dad was believed to be the youngest and, it says, tallest of what's called the three tramps. Lewis Gibson, who is a well-known forensic artist, matched photographs of Harrelson to photographs of that youngest-looking member, the tallest member of those three tramps. And the three tramps, who they are, there are three men who were photographed by several Dallas area newspapers under police escort. The three kids were under police escort near the Texas School Book Depository shortly after the assassination of Kennedy. And since the mid-'60s, there's been various allegations made about the identities of the men and their involvement in a conspiracy to kill Kennedy. Jim Marrs is great. You should listen to some of his talks or read some of his books. He was a journalist back in Texas at the time that it happened. He's written a lot, spoken a lot on I think he was the guy who actually helped write the movie JFK, the one with Kevin Costner. Marr said in one of his books that Harrelson was involved with criminals connected to intelligence agencies in the military, and he suggested that he was connected to Jack Ruby through this guy named Russell Douglas Matthews, a third party who had links to organized crime, who was known both to Harrelson and Ruby. And in 1982, Harrelson told a Dallas TV station, "Do you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald killed President Kennedy alone, without any aid from a rogue agency of the U.S. government, or at least a portion of that agency? I believe you're very naive if you do," he said. I should clarify, I realize that I've been saying Harrelson. I'm talking about Woody Harrelson's father right now. Woody Harrelson would have been pretty young in 1982, I think. How old is he? 60-something? I don't know. I'm talking about his dad right now. So who knows? Maybe Woody Harrelson's dad killed Kennedy. And his mom, strangely enough, her name is Diana Lou Oswald. And with that, I'll leave you with this clip from White Men Can't Jump.
Well, check this out. The last words of Lee Harvey Oswald. "It wasn't me, it was the CIA." No,
Get it?
Yeah. I got it.
Ruby's over here, and the
Honey,
police guy.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.